Namaskar friends, welcome back to our channel Pranaveda Dialogues. Today I am going to talk about a very interesting topic which is quite near and dear to many of us, and this topic is about addictions and habits. Maybe some of you are familiar with a very famous experiment that was conducted by Ivan Pavlov, and this experiment was done with dogs. So what he did was he set up an experiment where he had certain number of dogs, and then he rang a bell, and every time he rang a bell, food was given to the dogs. And he saw later on that even without presenting the food, if he just presented or rang the bell, the dogs started salivating in anticipation of receiving food. And this in psychology is called as conditioning. And Ivan Pavlov is known for his groundbreaking work on conditioning. Now, many of the habits or addictions that we slowly take up in our lives are a part of this conditioning. I know I am just because I am making this video does not mean that I do not struggle with any kind of habits that I am not happy about, or I do not have any particular addictions. Not at all. Just like everybody of us, I am also a human being and it's a work in progress. And I'm going to share with you what I have learned or what I have experienced in my career as a counselor, as an Ayurvedic physician, and of the various different books I have read. So first, let's start by defining what are addictions and what are habits. So addictions are kind of uncontrollable actions that we go on doing in our life. First, let us see how we kind of learn these habits, or how do we learn or we become addicted to anything in our life. It's funny that the word addiction all has the word diction, which means like a dictate. So it's like we are being dictated, or we are being forced to follow a certain habit or to consume a particular substance. It's almost as if there is a dictator that is making us do all these things. So the human mind, it learns things by association, and this is something very unique that we have in humans, that we don't just have a unidirectional association learning, but we have a multidimensional association of learning. So for example, when I say the word umbrella, I'm sure a certain object comes to your mind. So this is one direction. I name an object and a particular object comes to your mind. Similarly, if I just show you the object, a name will come to you, to your mind. So this is called as bidirectional. And then in your mind, you will also know that an umbrella is not a car, or what are the characteristics that an umbrella has, or in the conditions in which you can use an umbrella. So this is called as multi-directional association learning, and this is how we humans learn various things in our lives. So first, let us see how habits or addictions are formed. Whenever we are faced with a new situation, we consciously try to analyze the situation and try to find a solution. And we try out different things. So it's like a trial and error method. So we go on trying different solutions, and boom, one of those solution works and we get a reward. Oftentimes this reward is in the form of a release of dopamine, and then we go on repeating the same actions to receive the reward, and this is how we go on forming an habit. So for example, you are in a stressful situation, and you have various options in front of you. You are trying various options, and you see that avoidance, you try to avoid that particular situation, and as soon as you avoid that particular situation, you get a relief. Now most of the times this relief is a very temporary relief, and because of this relief that you get, your mind latches on to this solution, and the next time when you have the same situation, if you are facing the same situation, the probability is that you will take the same path. So in a way, addictions or habits are a way that our neurobiology tries to conserve energy. I will be talking about this aspect of conserving energy a little bit further also in my talk. So first, let's see how habits or addictions are formed. So there is a situation or there is a stimulus in the environment. When I use the word environment, it is not just our external environment, but it is also our internal environment. So it can be certain thoughts, feelings, sensations, or it can be actual situations in the external world. So this we can call it as a stimulus. Now this stimulus can create a particular craving, and when we satisfy this particular craving by doing a particular action, it gives a reward. And this reward, like I've talked about, can be a temporary relief or it can be a long-term relief from this particular situation. And this is how we form patterns of behavior. The more we go on using these patterns, the more stronger they become. Let me give an example. You feel a emptiness of your stomach, so you have the craving to eat. You do a particular action of eating, and the reward that you get is this particular sense of emptiness goes away. And this is how we can learn that feeding ourselves when we have this sensation of emptiness in our stomach helps us or rewards us by getting rid of this feeling. And so this is how we learn various things in our life. Now let me talk about what is craving. Craving is a desire to change the state that we are in. If you will notice any craving that you have, for example, if you have the craving to watch television all the time, you are changing the state of being not entertained to being entertained, or you are changing the state of not being bored of being bored to not being bored. Similarly, craving to eat food is a desire to change the state from hunger to a state of fulfillment. So if you will look at all the cravings that you have, each craving leads to a change of state. So cravings are associated with change of state. From the type of psychotherapy I use, which is called as acceptance and commitment therapy, we do believe that a craving is deeply connected to particular yearnings that we have. What are yearnings? Yearnings are values that we possess or things that matter to us deep down. So does it mean that all cravings are good because if they are connected to values? No. The cravings are often misinterpreted, or these are kind of wrong actions that our minds keep on telling us to do based on previous experiences. So for example, many of us in the current COVID pandemic, we have been checking news very often. So let's try to analyze this frequent checking of news about with respect to cravings and yearning. So all around us, we have this COVID pandemic going on. So that is the stimulus in the external environment, and it leads to the craving of frequently checking the news. Now, what can be the yearning behind this? The frequently checking of news can be to reassure ourselves that everything is fine and that we are safe. And when we check the news for a temporary amount of time, when we see that everything is fine, we get a reward of feeling reassured. So the yearning here is the yearning to feel safe, to feel secure. Now, whether checking news continuously is a good way, absolutely not. This is what I said, that cravings are related to yearnings, but oftentimes the mind doesn't really know how to satisfy this yearning and creates wrong kind of cravings. So now, after having seen that how habits or how addictions are formed, so you have an external stimulus which creates a craving. you do a particular action to satisfy this craving and you get a reward and you go on repeating, and this is how habits and addictions are formed. So now let us see how can we change this. What are the paths to change? The first important thing to realize and to recognize is that addiction is not a disease. It is just like any other human behavior where our actions are dictated by our mind and not by our values. So a person who is addicted or is habituated to certain things is not a broken person, he is not a sick person. This person is a human being who needs to learn how to separate or take distance from the mind. And I'm going to talk about this, how we can learn to take distance from the mind. One thing to remember, that all the things that we are addicted to, most often we know that they are not good for us or they are not healthy. For example, ask any friend of yours who's a smoker whether smoking is a good habit. I'm pretty sure none of the smokers would say, yes, this is a very good habit. Most of them will say, no, it's not a very good habit. And then they will come up with a justification in spite of being a bad habit, why do they go on doing it? Or they will say, yes, it's a very bad habit and I'm going to quit very soon. So all of them consciously they know that smoking is bad. But when it comes to a stimulus, they go on doing things unconsciously. So this tells us that addictions and habits are a part of our unconscious patterns. Now again here, this is the beauty of nature. In nature, there is something called as conservation of energy, or using the path of least resistance. When we were primitive humans living in caves, energy was a resource which was highly prized. For example, to meet the caloric demands of our body, maybe you needed to hunt the whole day or run after an animal the whole day or go on searching the forest for food the whole day. So from that time, our minds have learned that energy is something which is very precious. And so the mind will try to do everything to conserve this energy. When we build habits or when we build addictions, as I've said before, this is a pattern. And pattern following comes very easily to our neurobiology because there has to be no analysis. There is a stimulus, there is a craving, there is an action, there is a reward, and we have done it repeatedly before. So the mind really doesn't have, or the neurobiology doesn't really have to analyze and think before taking this action. So it's very automatic. So if we really want to change a habit or to change an addiction, the first thing we can do is to start looking at it consciously, because I have said that it is an unconscious action. So the next time when you feel like smoking or eating that piece of chocolate or performing that particular ritual that you do, like going out of the house, you go on touching particular things or checking the lock 10 times before you leave the house. So next time, before you start doing that action, consciously look at this action. So if you are smoking, try to feel how the cigarette feels in your hand. Try to smell the cigarette. See the sensation that you feel when you light up the cigarette. Feel the heat that you feel in your fingers when you light up a cigarette. Feel the sensation as the smoke enters your lungs. Feel the sensation as it leaves your body. Feel the sensations in your tongue. So if you start involving all your sense organs and start doing this action consciously, you will see that you will be able to slowly over a period of time break this pattern. So this is one way. Start doing things consciously. Second thing is what we call it as delay gratification. As I have said before, addiction or habit are a chain, or they are a cycle, or they are a sequence of particular actions that we do. So stimulus followed by craving, followed by action, followed by reward, right? So the next time there is a situation which leads to a craving, before indulging into an action, see if you can delay that action by a small amount of time. Now, this amount of time you can decide for yourself. It can be as small as just 1 second, or it can be as long as 5 minutes or longer than that. So, see if you can break this sequence of craving immediately followed by an action. And see, so it's like almost like you are going against a dictate. And like I said before, addiction is a dictate. The mind is telling you to do something. So you have a craving, don't immediately do the action. Put some distance between the action and the craving. And slowly over a period of time, you will be able to realize that you have the choice whether to act on the craving or not. So the second method can be to do delayed gratification. Now the third way of changing habits or overcoming particular addictions is incremental changes. Even in the Ayurvedic scriptures in Charak Samhita, Charak has mentioned very nicely a protocol of how we can give up bad things in our life and take up good things. This is also like a replacement protocol. So for example, if you are smoking 20 cigarettes per day, incrementally what you can do is on the first few days, instead of smoking, smoke 19 times, and one time do something which is more healthier. Maybe eat a fruit or go for a walk. Once you are okay doing this, then reduce it by one more. So now instead of smoking 19, bring it to 18 and add one more replacement good habit. So slowly over a period of time, you go on making incremental changes. Now this can be used for any type of habits or addictions that you have. So for example, if you are watching too much of television, or if you are all the time engrossed in social media, let's say you count the number of hours that you are on social media and you come up with a figure something like 4 hours. So in the first week, maybe reduce it by 15 minutes and go for a walk in this 15 minutes, and slowly go on reducing the time that you give for this addiction or a habit and allocate this time to something else. So this is incremental changes, and this is also replacement protocols. Now, one more thing about addiction is that, as I have said before, it's a chain. So there is a particular stimulus that leads to a craving, that leads to an action, and that leads to a reward. So if you start recognizing particular situations which act as a stimulus, and see if you can make some changes in this particular situations. For example, if you have noticed that in the office, after the lunch break, when you go out with your friends to have a cup of coffee, this is the time that you smoke, or this is a stimulus which creates the craving for smoking, leads to an action of smoking. So see if you can change that pattern. So instead of going out for coffee with your friends, see if you can have the coffee in your office. So see if you can create some kind of changes in the stimulus that leads to particular habits and to particular addictions. So friends, this was some information about habits and addictions. I hope you find it useful, and please do not hesitate to message me or send me an email to ask questions. And please do leave your comments and your suggestions. And we would also like if in the suggestion box you can suggest us topics on which we can make future videos. So thank you very much for tuning in. Have a very nice week ahead. Namaskar.